I know you're probably excited to plow ahead and talk about the weird six-winged creatures all covered in eyes. But we're not quite there yet. Revelation chapter 4, verse 6 begins, also in front of the throne, there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. That's kind of an odd sight, isn't it? Sure, as if all the others are just this normal everyday experience. But you've got the heavenly throne room, and right before the throne is this crystal clear sea. What's that about? Now, some suggest it's a barrier intended to separate us from God. Others see the sea as something we must traverse, much like the Red Sea. Revelation chapter 15, verse 2 seems to kind of repeat this sight with slight addition. There, John sees what looked like a sea of glass. However, it was glowing with fire. Now, adding to the Red Sea imagery, in verse 3, we're told that they sang the song of God's servant Moses and of the Lamb. The song of Moses goes back to Exodus 15 and the crossing of the Red Sea. Now, we'll have to wait till Revelation 15 to unpack the Song of the Lamb. Now, try this one. Given that Revelation 11, verse 9, talks about God's temple in heaven, it's perhaps appropriate to assume that our current scene before the throne is taking place in God's temple in heaven. Now, the author of Hebrews in chapter 8, verse 5 claims that the priests serve at a sanctuary that is a copy and shadow of what is in heaven. So the earthly temple is a reflection of the heavenly temple. In 2 Chronicles 4, verse 5, we find a description of the temple that Solomon built and all its furnishings. We're told that the sea stood on 12 bowls, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The sea rested on top of them, and their hindquarters were towards the center. Now, maybe John sees the sea simply because it was a part of the heavenly temple's furniture. Here's one more in case your head isn't spinning. In Ezekiel chapter 1, we're told, spread out above the heads of the living creatures was what looked something like a vault, sparkling like crystal and awesome. I bet it was awesome. We'll get to the living creatures in Revelation next time, but like chapter 4, verse 6 in Ezekiel, we've got creatures, we've got something crystal, but it's a vault, not a sea. The vault in Hebrew is the word rakia. It's the same word in Genesis 1:6, which separated the waters above from the waters below. Now, so which is it? A new Exodus evoking the Red Sea, Solomon's temple, or Ezekiel's vision? And the answer is yes, at least probably. This is how apocalyptic vision functions. They keep stacking these images one on top of another, beautifully expanding its depth and meaning. But anchoring John's vision in these Old Testament passages still leaves something out. In Revelation itself, the sea is important. One scholar picking up on this theme makes the observation that from the rest of the book, we discover that for John, the sea represents everything that opposes the will of God. In chapter 13, when the beast appears, you know where it comes from? And just like Daniel 7, verses 2 and 3, from the sea. In Revelation 21, we're told, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. Now, if the sea is an agent of chaos, what's it doing in God's presence? The answer is whatever God wants it to. Seriously, the crystal clear sea can be seen as a demonstration of God's total, unchecked sovereignty. While it seems like the seas may churn and crash down here, from God's perspective, it is as calm as a piece of glass. Because God uses even its chaos to achieve his ends in glory. When we take Revelation 21 into account, this makes a little more sense. For now the sea remains, because despite its protestations and attempts otherwise, God can use it to achieve his ends. When the devil did his worst to Jesus, inciting the Jewish and Roman leaders against him, not a ripple appeared, because chaos served God's gracious ends. One day when Jesus returns, God's purposes will be accomplished, and he will have no further use for the sea. The chaos in our lives that aches and stings and compels us to cry out, it will be no longer. But for now, know this, the sea will not conquer us. He can use it for our good and his glory. Have a great week.